Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 180. Can you believe that? 180 episodes of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long. We're coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting, I think, another great organization this week as we highlight Poffie Girls. We have Syble Latta and Pam Nixon with us today. Syble is the founder of Poffie Girls, and Pam is the current CEO of the organization. So Syble and Pam, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. So this is exciting. I've been looking forward to this one once I saw it on the board. So Syble, I'm going to throw the first question out to you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that you would like to share.
Well, Stephen, when you've lived as long as I have, there's a lot to tell. So
we only have 5 hours.
I'm going to try to shorten it just a little bit, and just a few highlights. I grew up right here in Gastonia.
Okay, good for you.
The oldest of 5 children. My mom worked in a mill. She sold Avon for 50 years, and she did sewing for the public.
Okay.
So when I look back now on my childhood, I realized that we were poor, but we just didn't know it.
You didn't realize it at the time.
We didn't realize it at that time at all. But having 5 of us, we all chipped in. We did our chores. We even had to prepare our own meals because Mom worked on the second shift, so she was never at home. I remember the first thing that I learned to make was homemade biscuits.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
And I was so young, I had to stand on a stool to reach the counter. And I think that watching my mom do whatever it took to provide for our family is what gave me the drive to start my own business.
Okay.
And I started that in 1974. The first location was in the back corner of Acre Shopping Center.
Okay.
From there, Poffie Girls moved to several locations. But at the time that I started, about maybe a year afterwards, I became divorced. So then I was not only a woman in business, but a single mom in business with 2 small children. Excuse me. My son, Tim, and my daughter, Pam. At that time, trying to run a business as a woman was extremely difficult. A few years later, I married my husband, Bob, 1978. I hope I got that year right. And we'll
fact check that later.
Okay, I think that's right. He keeps up with it. But we moved then, Poffie Girls, to Gaston Mall. We moved to Eastridge Mall, and we even had several locations in Charlotte. And then in 1990, we bought the house that is on South New Hope Road. For those listeners who are from Gastonia and old enough to remember, I'll give you a little history about the house. At that time, there were 4 houses in a row. The City Club, which was known as the Sumner House, was beside of us. It was the last to be torn down, and Poffie Girls is the only one now standing. And those of you who know the Gray family, and there's a lot of them, most of them are related. In 1917, George Gray built the house that's now the home of Poffie Girls. So Poffie Girls got a lot of history behind it.
Yeah, I think that's something that's missing actually in a lot of these businesses is these stories that, that don't get passed down. I mean, unfortunately, we've lost some of the history even with our business. But anyway, so it's interesting. I appreciate you sharing that because I do. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the Sumner House. I was a Rotarian. I am a Rotarian, and so I was over there every Thursday until it was, until we had to move because of multiple reasons. But so yeah, I spent a lot of time over there at the City Club myself. So
Well, in the day, that was the country. This
Yeah,
was
right.
their country home, and the country club was where Earl Tyndall Ford is
Yep.
now.
Yeah, that's my old Gaston Country. I guess it's Country Club Road there, right? And
Old
Country Club Drive.
Old
Yeah,
Country Club.
yeah. So that's the reason for that road name. If people were curious, a lot of people don't even know that.
No,
Right.
So it's interesting to hear that. All right, so that's quite a story, and I'm sure you condensed it for us here, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it. So, but Pam, how would you answer that question about? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here today to the peak of your life of being on the Gaston's Great podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm born and raised in Gaston County, and I'm very proud of that. It's hard to find a lot of born and raised Gastonians.
It can
these
be,
days.
yeah.
It can be hard to find.
And
So
I am one, yes.
Yes, definitely. And being born and raised, it brings a sense of community here for me. So I love to give back when I can to the community. But I was born and raised in the business of Poffie Girls.
Okay.
I did go off to school. I'm a graduate of UNC Charlotte, so
Okay, very
very
good.
proud of that. And after school, I got into different businesses, worked in a lot of sales. Did not want to really get into the business at that point in time. I wanted to spread my wings, and my mom also even said, "I want you to go work for other people."
Right.
So, so I did, and then I got married, and we had a daughter, and her name is Ella, and she's 22 years old now, and so we have a beautiful daughter, inside and out, and I would just say that at that time, I was working part-time in the business,
Okay.
Raising children and that kind of thing.
So it's interesting. I have a similar story. I was never going to work here.
Yeah.
She
Growing
wasn't either.
up, I mean, I was so
Nor live here. She didn't want to live here.
I was so tired of hearing about, of course, back, it was the Gaston sheet metal back then, but hearing about GSM all the time, I'm going to something else. Well, then, Janet graduated a semester after me. She ends up getting a job here, back in Gastonia.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll hang around here and see what happens. I kept looking for a job, and here it is 32 years later, right? It's been terrific. So it's interesting that sometimes that journey, it's easy to look back and see how great it is. But at the time, I was like, I ain't doing this. So I don't know if you had that similar similar thought, but I sure wasn't. Joel was always going to work here.
Okay.
But I wasn't.
Right.
No way.
Well, it was one of those things that growing up, because I was basically 7 when it started, so
Okay.
don't do the math there. But,
Yeah, I won't.
the store took my mom away.
Oh,
And
okay.
she was a hardworking woman, and she was gone, night and day. So as a young child growing up, it was just one of those things that was more negative to me than it was positive.
That's
It
fair.
took
Yeah, I get it.
until
Yeah.
years later for me to respect and understand.
No
and-
perspective about that because when you're 7, right? It's just,
Right.
Where's Mom?
It's just, where's Mom?
yeah,
Right.
that's good.
But it did teach me a lot of who I am today as far as being just a strong person, developing leadership skills
Sure.
and things like that
Sure.
to move forward. But I am, I guess I will go back to, I did go through a divorce as well, just as my mom, and I was a single mom, 8-year-old daughter at the time. So therefore, just working part-time, I needed to find a job where I could work full-time to
Sure.
provide for me and my daughter. And so that's when I started working full-time at Poffie Girls, and still didn't have that was going to be my life or my direction. I was just kind of going through the motions and doing what I needed to do at that time. But since the divorce, and then my mom got sick when I was working full-time, and she was put into the hospital, and we were just like, you cannot continue working like you're working. We're going to have to find someone to possibly buy the business. And so they did find someone that was ready to buy Poffie Girls.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a lot of people don't know that. And so,
What's the time frame on that? Do you remember? I'm just curious.
It was probably right before COVID.
Okay.
Right around that time. About
right
5 years ago.
beforehand.
Okay.
And so I even went with them to the meeting and sat down and went over the sale of Poffie Girls and what was going to happen. And I got out of that meeting and I looked at my parents and I said, there's no way I can let this go through. If you are willing to give me a chance and to give me the opportunity, I would love to be the person that takes it over. I've watched her, grow a business, the sweat, the tears, not being able to pay bills, and to finally being successful. And I was like, I just can't allow somebody else to come and take that success and run away with it.
So, Syble, I have to ask, what was that moment like when your daughter went there? Was that expected at all, or did that surprise you?
No, because we had talked about it.
Okay.
And she wanted me to retire, and I say I'm retired now, but you'll find me there most days.
Well, good for you.
And, it was kind of a good time for her to say, okay, I can, just make it on my own now. But then when she came with that, after we both shed some tears, I truly felt like it was the best move that could have ever been made. And she's proven that.
And it's played out that way, right? Yeah. So, well, listen, so as an outsider who knows nothing, and I mean, when I say, I'm not just a typical man who doesn't know anything about y'all's industry, for lack of a better phrase. I know nothing. I do know that my, wife and future daughter-in-law have been there recently.
Yes.
So why, well, first of all, if you live in Gaston County, you know who Poffie Girls is. I hope y'all do realize that, right?
I don't think we always realize that.
Yeah, well, just trust me. Even the dumb man over here who doesn't know anything about what y'all do and doesn't care a whole lot to know about what y'all do, like a typical man, we all know who Poffie Girls is and what you have meant to our county and what it's when I saw we talked, I can't remember who, maybe it might have been Renee that suggested, my sister-in-law, about getting y'all on. I don't remember who it was, but I said, well, yeah. So, but why, going back to, I guess it was 1974, if I heard that right, why this type of business? If you don't, what kind of inspired you to that? I like hearing these stories about why this type of business, because I have no idea why I do what I do.
Basically, it was because I was told I couldn't. And you just don't.
That can be a good motivator sometimes.
It's just not a word in my vocabulary. But it actually began as a need for me to do something. I was married then with 2 small children, and I wanted to find something that I could do for myself. And I had been poor as I was. I did my own wedding. My mom made my dress, and I created everything else. Ended up being beautiful. This was my first wedding. And then after that, I had friends start asking me to help with theirs, which I did.
That's often how things happen,
And
it seems
that
like.
grew, and within no time, I was booked a year in advance helping other people. I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about, I just knew I had to do something. I went to the library and I checked out everything I could find on weddings. I thought, I like doing this. Why not? And so I studied up, decided that I would do that. Back then, every bride had her engagement picture in the newspaper.
Okay, yeah, I remember
anymore.
that. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that. Do y'all have any idea what we're talking about?
They don't.
They don't.
You know what a library is? Where you have to go. We used to have to go study things and check out books. We didn't have the internet. Okay.
The Dewey Decimal
I
System.
think
Dewey Decimal System. That's right.
I just started with doing the day of the wedding. Once I had studied and learned, I called all those brides that were in the newspaper, and I set up an appointment, met them in their home. Back then it was called a wedding director. Y'all know it as a wedding planner. And then it just kept growing. I started doing my own catering. I started decorating the church. I bought the equipment. And I did that for about 4 years, and I would be booked a year in advance. But I wanted to better myself. You know, all I had was the books in the library that I had studied. And I had heard about a registered bridal consultant course that you could take. Excuse me. So I wanted to find out about that, but I couldn't find out how I'd go about it. I was told that there was a local lady that had a shop that they thought would be able to help me. So I went in, made an appointment. I went in to talk with her one day, and I told her that my plan was. And she said to me, I'll tell you right now, don't even think about opening a bridal shop because you will not succeed. So by the time my feet hit the bottom of her steps, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I had no idea about retail. I'd never worked in retail. Yeah. But I went to my first market in Charlotte. Back then they had markets in Charlotte. Okay. And I relied on friends that I met in the business and sales reps to help guide me. And I got a start, and it was a struggle for a very long time.
Yeah, there's so many good origin stories, and so many people, I think, might view you guys now and say, well, you know, they've always been successful like this. It's a 40-year overnight success, right? Is really the journey, or whatever the time frame is.
Definitely not.
And that, you know, if you look at the life cycle of our company as an example, it's not this straight journey that everybody thinks it is. It's this ups and downs and peaks and valleys, and it's just interesting. So that's what, you know, the chaos. I think progress comes out of a lot of that chaos. And again, I've had so many people ask me over the years about the journey here in our business. Like, you have no idea. Yeah. we just put on this, you know, everybody out there thinks how smooth it is. You know, they can tell you that I'm just half the time it's a back crazy guy, right? Yeah, they know.
The thing with business is you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
So she is it fair to say that looking back now, she maybe did you a favor by telling you that, and you were like, well, I'm going to show you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting how those moments at the time, you might not realize how big of a moment that was.
Well, to kind of put an ending on that story, I bought her out after about 5 years in business.
Oh, that's so good. Maybe we should just stop there. You can throw that mic on the floor right there, because you just dropped the mic on that one. Wow, that's well, I won't expand on that. That's good enough. I'd like to ask a couple more questions about that. But
I never rubbed it into her face. Actually, she was older and probably was ready to retire anyway.
I understand. That's terrific. So, Poffie Girls today. So what, this question is for both of you, but what's kind of the mission of the organization? You know, I mean, we have an underlying mission here, and most companies do, and sometimes it's written down, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's just known by, you know, the people who run it. But what is kind of, what are you're trying to accomplish day to day, and then the follow-up question would be, what led you to that moment where you said, I want to take it over? So is that a fair question about kind of what's y'all's mission and what are you trying to accomplish?
Well, we sell dresses, but our mission's never been about just selling dresses. It's always been about making women feel beautiful, confident, truly seen, whether they're shopping for a wedding, a prom, or a special occasion. I often tell ladies when they're in the store shopping that I don't want to just sell them a dress. I want to sell them a memory that they'll treasure for the rest of their life when they look back on their pictures. I'm also very honest when I'm asked for my opinion, sometimes even when I'm not. And I tell them what I think looks good and what doesn't. So I think basically, you know, our mission, even though we have a formal mission, but our mission is helping ladies helping them feel good about themselves. And when they leave, that's exactly what we want. We want them to have a very good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, because you're involved with some of the most memorable moments of people's lives, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So-
and I guess I will tack on to that is that we basically are in the business to celebrate life's biggest moments.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Pretty much. But in addition to everything she is saying is also the personalized service that we give, a one-on-one service, the exceptional experience that we give. I mean, it's all about an experience too. And when you are celebrating life's biggest moment, you know, you don't want to feel like you're just going to shop at Old Navy or
Right.
anything like that. So we give them the kind of service that you couldn't even think about. It's you come in, you get the personalized service, the experience, and you walk away going, wow, I didn't even see it coming.
Right.
And in addition to that, of the way we want our customers to feel, I also want our employees to feel that way as well. So not only do we work for celebrating those moments with our customers, but developing leaders within our employees. So I do lots of training, a lot of continued education, a lot of, building these women to have more confidence than when they walked in our doors. And you will see them grow so not only personally but professionally. And they will say they are truly a different person when after they've been with us for several years.
Do you have any idea how many women or young ladies you guys have served over the years? I mean, that might be just a wacky question.
Well, one report that I pulled was just for 2025.
Okay.
And I will say that we served over 10,000 zip codes. And we don't sell online.
That's a lot.
We do not sell online. And, people come from all over. It's not just community. Right. I mean, people are coming from different states. They fly in. They stay in hotels. Wow. So, we're also given to the community, I feel, for Gaston County, because these people are coming in and staying at our hotels.
Oh,
they're
great,
dining at the restaurants. They are shopping at other small businesses. So I feel like that's a part of us giving back too. But as far as how many women over that majority of time, yes.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I'm sure it's just a number that would be astounding, probably even to both of you, if you could think about it. And to your point, my son's fiance's family is from Iredell County, so interestingly, they're getting married here as well. So, and that's happening in a few months. So that's another strange thing. What we were talking about beforehand, our kids getting older.
Right.
Adulting is happening with our children. So, looking back, this is for both of you, just over this journey. Is there something that stands out? I was like, wow, that's a success. This is the reason. An interaction you had, or a customer that you served, or something that occurred where you're like, yeah, this is the reason I started this, or this is the reason we're in business. Something that you just, wow, that was super impactful. Some specific story or moment or something that stands out for you. It might be hard to narrow it down to something specific.
Yeah, I remember one thing. It was during prom season, and a lady was in. And had shopped with her daughter for her prom dress. And when she finished, she asked at the front desk if the owner was there. Well, you sort of want to run out the back door when you hear that.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But I came up to speak with her, and she said, I just want to let you know that this is one of the best experiences my daughter has ever had. The business you run here is incredible. And I want other girls that may not be able to afford it to share in that experience. I want to write you a check for $1,000 so that you can use that for girls who come in here and find a beautiful dress but cannot afford to buy it.
Wow.
So we use that for during that prom season. And what we did is sometimes it'd be the whole dress, sometimes we'd pay part, they'd pay part. But usually when I saw a group standing around, these girls bring 4 or 5 people with them, more sometimes. But when I saw the grandmother and the grandfather and the mother and the aunt trying to count out their money to pay for that dress,
Yeah.
I would say, I tell you what, let us take care of part of this for you, and we would use part of that money. Sometimes we took care of the whole thing.
Right.
But that was, I mean, just makes you feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a. Listen, we run a businesses, right, and we have to be profitable, or we can't do those things. But at the same time, there's also an underlying mission. I hope for most businesses is if you can't do things like that for the community, what's the point of having a business, right?
And another thing that when and I don't know exactly where it plays in as far as your questions go, but I think it plays in with that pretty well, is that when mothers come in with their daughters and they say, I bought my wedding gown here, or I bought my prom dress here, and we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
And just the other day, I had a mother come in and with her daughter shopping for a prom dress, and she said, I bought my wedding gown here, and everything is just the same. Nothing's changed. Now, we've changed decor and everything, but to her,
but that feeling that she had is the same.
She said everything's the same.
Yeah, that's a little more glamorous than me saying, "Oh yeah, we put your grandfather's air conditioner in." That's a little better story. That's a little bit of story. So, Pam, how would you answer that, or did your mom cover it pretty well about impact and success that you've seen, or some moment that stood out for you when you were serving someone, or something that occurred?
I mean, I definitely hear all the time about, and we do have a great Google reviews as well, and so we do read those a lot, and I read them to the girls because it does help build their confidence and all. But just in there listening, people are coming, they want to tell me, I guess, being CEO and I'm out and about all the time, they do want to tell me what a great service that the girls are giving them. And this is something, and it's the moms that are going, I cannot believe how you were able to make my daughter feel. And it's all about, I mean, I have a daughter, so if she were to get married one day, you know, knowing how someone can make her feel beautiful and special in that moment than she's ever felt in her life, you know, you really appreciate those people that are helping make that happen.
Yeah, I can assume, because again, I'm making an assumption here, which can be dangerous, but I assume that can be a pretty challenging and intimidating process for somebody who's never gone through that before. They don't know.
Have any idea.
Yeah, I mean, so that you know, anytime you can create that comfort level, that's a big success. And something else that you've mentioned, you've touched a couple times, Pam, that we don't talk about enough is when we have your guests on, especially business owners. We talk about the community stuff, and we talk about, you know, the services you're providing, but we also you know, just the fact that you're helping the community because you are you're providing employment, right, for families and individuals, and that's another service that businesses, frankly, I don't think business get enough credit for. You know, so that's just something else that, you know, over the years, I mean, how many employees have you served as well over that time period, right? So
over the 15 years that I've taken over and been CEO, I've employed more than 150 women.
Right.
And that's young girls in high school, college, and then just young professionals that want a part-time job or want this as their careers as well. So I feel like we're giving back. Yeah,
it'd be something good on a resume for younger individuals, even if they do something else later, right?
Right.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, we employ about 15 people for our bridal stylists and everything. And then during prom season, we employ 30. And those extra ones are high school girls, and most of them it's the first job.
Yeah. What is that time frame? What is prom season? Because what time of the year is that?
January usually is when it starts, the 1st of January, and it goes through to the end of April.
Okay. Is there a typical wedding season too, or is that just something that's become year-round now?
Year-round.
Okay. I was just curious. And I got married in March, which at the time, like, okay, whatever. I mean,
We have had employees before also go apply for jobs, and when they put down that they work for us, they'll tell them automatically, if you work for them, you're hired.
Yeah, that's good. Kind of like young people.
We've had them come
So
back
Poffie
and
Girls
tell
and
us
Chick-fil-A, right? The two that prepare young people well. So let's talk a little bit more. I mean, you've already touched on this, but what about us being so involved in the community? I've seen a lot of things personally that you guys are involved with, and there's a great page on your website with links to a lot of the organizations that you guys have supported over the years. But can you just touch on that, and then of course why? Because there's plenty of businesses in Gaston County that don't do that, right? That's not in everybody's DNA, so to speak. So why? And maybe talk about any of those organizations. And some of the things I know you brought a newspaper clipping. I bet it's related to that somehow. But just tell me from y'all's perspective why and some of the things that you guys do consistently.
Well, I'll jump to that now.
Okay, please do.
Cover that.
Yeah.
For I think about 10 years, we supported an event called National
Brides Across America.
National Brides Across America. And that was where we gave away free wedding gowns to brides who had been deployed or their fiancés had been deployed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and we gave away usually the wedding gown, the veil, jewelry, the whole works, and it was completely free. So we had the director of the event come and visit us one day, and she could not believe how many brides we were able to get through. We got volunteers to wait on them, and we gave them a certain amount of time, and I don't think there's only in 10 years one girl that didn't find her dress.
Okay.
And so she was just amazed at how well it was run. And then a year or two after that, she had a contest for a free wedding, not just a dress, but a free wedding.
Wow, that can be a big deal.
So the bride had to send in a letter explaining why she should receive that free wedding. And our bride won. One of our brides won. And, of course, we were all very excited about that. And then I got a phone call letting me know that the fiancé was to be deployed soon. And it was up to me to put this wedding together in a very short time.
So you had to do it quick.
I got on the phone and started making calls to local businesses.
Okay.
Florists, caterers, venues. I did not have one person turn me down.
Wow.
The community came together like you would not believe. And there was a film director that also heard about the event and gave us a call wanting to come down and film the wedding for a TV show called Bride of Honor. And that was the articles that I brought, some of the things that were put in the paper. Local shops, that's plural, not single. Throw wedding for military man set to deploy soon. Couple story film for TV special. And then it says local bridal store to be featured on military wedding TV show.
Oh, wow.
Wedding plans bring MTV to Gastonia. So I think that's a
MTV's a big time,
example,
huh?
Perfect example of the community coming together, though, and doing something good.
Why do you think those people you called, though, responded like that? Because of you?
No, I think that's just who the people in Gaston County are.
Yeah, but they knew that it was legitimate, and they knew who you are and what you were trying to accomplish.
Maybe.
So yeah,
A respected businesswoman.
Thank you.
She is.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it than I would. Well, that's terrific, though.
another little twist to that, on that day that the wedding was to be filmed, I was in the hospital and had been in the hospital for about a week. And, of course, I was supposed to be interviewed. I checked myself out of the hospital that morning, checked myself back in the next day, and I was in there for another week.
And
wow.
She was yellow, like she had jaundice. Yeah. And we had to put makeup all over her so she didn't look so yellow on camera.
In case you hadn't figured it out, I just don't give up.
Yeah, that's a good lesson. I mean, that's the reason I like these discussions, and that's terrific. So, when was that? How long ago was that? If you don't mind me asking.
It was in 2012.
Okay.
2013.
2012, right?
Because I remember that. Yeah. Back when there was actually a newspaper that we could throw around, with each other. So, Pam, what about any other community stuff that you've kind of focused on, or is it the same type of things that your mom has been involved with? Or
well, I had a Girl Scout come to me several years back.
Okay.
It's probably 7 years ago, I would think now, 7 or 8, and for her gold award, she had put together prom. She wanted to put together prom donations for her high school. And so I worked with her that year and got together about two or three boxes of prom dresses to give to her to get started in that business. Yeah. And so, but with the gold award, the thing is that that it needs to keep going. It needs to be attainable, sustainable to keep going. And so it has to this day.
Oh, wow.
They have continued that. And it's at Forest View, and it's called Prom Closet. And so every year, I usually give them a call.
I think I've heard of that from our girls, because our kids went to Forest View.
Okay. And so about November of every year, I gather up 2 or 3 boxes of dresses, give them a call. They come pick that up, and they send me pictures, and it's just really heartfelt to see that these girls are actually going to prom. And when
because I guess I'm assuming, again, we got to be careful. I make assumptions all the time that are wrong. When young girls can't get that dress or don't have access to that or can't afford that, I mean, that can just be a barrier to not go at all in some situations.
They can
probably
choose just not to go at all.
Yeah.
And I have served on different boards and all, and I've been on Women Optimizing Wellness. Mom served on the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. We
give back to them as well.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do in the community, we're there for.
Yeah, before we finish, we'll make sure you guys share your website and all that, and I would encourage our listeners to go to the website. There's a great page there with that gets into a little more detail and organization. Even what I really like is you got some links to their websites too, on your own website. So I know that's helpful to these nonprofit organizations to get some of that press. So again, I appreciate you guys sharing that. I like this question, kind of looking ahead for Poffie Girls. There's that classic question, what's the plan 5 or 10 years from now? I mean, we've kind of quit doing that here because things change so fast. We don't even look. We look maybe 2 or 3 years ahead to try to do some planning. But what's next for Poffie Girls and you guys down the road? Is that a?
I would say,
or is
it
a secret and
like
you don't want to share?
And especially with retail, you never know. But we are continuing on. We plan on being around for the next 5 to 10 years in the capacity of making women's dreams come true. But it's really, for me, it's continuing the legacy that I took over 15 years ago, and feel honored that I've been able to do that, and I want to continue doing that. And to also continue empowering women in our business. When they come to us and work, usually they've either never had a job or, it's been a small job of some sort. And so I really feel great that I can actually offer leadership skills and communication skills and all of that to women.
It can be a great foundation for young people to see that and get exposed to that. So, Syble, what's your plan? Are you just going to keep coming in to make sure she's keeping everything straight?
I do come in quite often, but since I am retired,
officially retired.
Okay. I want to spend as much time as possible with my family.
Understood.
And I also want to enjoy traveling with my husband, preferably somewhere warm right now.
Yeah, right now we're recording this on what's today, January 28th, and we're in the middle of this wacky couple of weeks weather that we're having. Yeah.
And I want to see Poffie Girls continue to grow and serve this community with the same integrity that the business was started on.
Well, that's great. I appreciate that. So before we finish up, there's a couple of more personal questions I'd like to throw in here, but is there anything I haven't asked? I mean, the last thing we'll do is make sure you guys share your location, website, how can, individuals get in touch with you, that kind of thing. But is there anything I haven't asked that I should have asked that you guys want to make sure you cover?
I think a lot of people ask the question of where Poffie Girls came from.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And
that's a good one.
So
Yeah. I'm not smart enough to think of that question.
That a lot of people don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
But my brother, he's 2 years older than me, and he had nicknames for everybody and animals, whatever. He never called anything by its actual name. So he came up with nicknames, and being the older brother, the names were not that nice for the younger sister. So he would call me Mooish girl, greasy girl, anything, some kind of a negative adjective to go along with the girl.
Yeah, seems.
And I would always run to Mom, tell him to stop calling me those names and cry. And so after she scolded him a few times, she says, "You're going to have to come up with something better, Tim."
That's funny.
And so he popped up with Poffie Girl.
Huh.
And that is the only name I would answer to.
Oh, that's funny.
So it seemed enduring to me.
Sure,
It was better than what he had been calling me. So it stuck. My dad still calls me Poffie Girl to this day, and not everyone else, but
that's interesting.
So, and then when she decided to open the doors, that she named it Poffie Girls.
Oh, wow, that's a great story. I appreciate you bringing that up. That's one reason I asked that question, is because there's oftentimes, again, I'm not smart enough to think of that's such a unique name, where that would come from, because our name here is boring. Destiny sheet metal, whoop-de-doo, That's great. So I appreciate you sharing that. Syble, anything you want to make sure we get across before we kind of move on to some other questions, and we'll finish this episode out?
Well, now that you've asked,
okay.
Yeah, there's a couple things I think could have been asked. One is just plain old why. Why would someone stay in business for so long?
Fair enough.
And I think basically in the beginning, I told the story, but then as time went on, you had to pay bills.
Oh, yeah.
So I just had to keep going no matter how hard the struggle was. And it never entered my mind to quit or to give up. And I think, I felt a sense of purpose in doing what I was doing, and I loved it. And eventually, I think that my love for fashion just turned into a passion that's lasted for my lifetime.
Yeah, well, you put those two things together, right? Something that you're interested in and a passion, and that drive not to quit, that can help you climb mountains. So that's good.
I think the second thing, and that I think about a lot, is all the changes that have taken place over the past 50 years in business. And aside from all the obvious technology changes, I think one of the biggest changes is how women were treated in business and how they're treated today. In the 70s, women were not respected in business at all. It was truly a man's world.
Right.
I remember going to, I think, 3 different banks before I could even get anyone to talk to me about loaning me $1.
Yeah.
I even had an attorney tell me that he didn't talk business with women. I could have my husband call him. Well,
it's so funny just thinking now, right?
Yeah, it didn't happen. At that time, I wasn't married. So I shared a few choice words with him.
I bet you did.
And hung up and found another attorney. So today, I'm really proud of the way women are accepted and treated, not only in the business world, but just in life. Young people have no idea but it was tough.
And I got news for you. Most businesses are better for it off. I mean,
I think so too.
A quick side note story is, when in the mid-'70s, GSM was struggling a little bit, and my mother decided to come up here and straighten this place out. You know what?
Women can do it.
And pretty much internally, she did.
Yeah.
Which allowed my dad to do the production work, and she straightened out everything else, boy. And here we are. This is year 99, believe it or not.
Wow.
But anyway, but my point is, you're right.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have taken so long, right?
Yeah,
The
right.
business world and industry, sometimes we're just dumb. So listen, I appreciate you sharing that specifically. So I'm going to shift gears real quick because, we're coming up on this 3 or 4 hour mark here of this episode. I'm kidding. So a couple questions that I think I normally say we make our guests endure. So I'll start with you, Pam. So what is something very few people know about you?
Well, the question that or the answer that I had for that was most people don't know that my nickname is Poffie Girl.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So that's a good one. But I'm not going to let you use that one. I'm going to make you use something else since you already brought that up. Yep.
Well, I guess.
Put you on the spot. Sorry, that's how I roll here.
No,
What did you study? What did you study at UNC Charlotte?
I studied human services and minored in psychology, so I've always been interested in people.
Absolutely.
And learning why people do what they do and why.
Have you found
they
that
think the way
helpful?
they think.
You talking about this leadership stuff and trying to nurture young people. You think that has something that maybe helped with that along the way?
Definitely, because that's something that's always been a part of me, and that I want to give out and to other people and help them grow, because I know that not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets the opportunity to go to college either. So anytime that I can help empower women is a goal of mine. But, and also part of that too, and I think part of the business and what I teach the employees is that, there's kind of a saying that says, people will forget what you do, people will forget what you say, but they're never going to forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that's kind of a motto that we use at the store. Just remember how you're making people feel.
Yeah, so many cliches like that are famous and long-standing because they're true, right? Sometimes I wish they weren't, some of those sayings, but it absolutely is. So that's
genuinely caring about your customers and your people.
And you can't fake that.
No,
you'll get snuffed out in a heartbeat if that's not really what's on your heart. So again, I appreciate that. I'm always interested to hear, oftentimes people who went to college, graduated college. So many people end up doing something unrelated. I mean, sometimes related, but again, that path is not straight either, like we like to think it is. I mean, my path, engineering school, and here I am. But I used my engineering. When I was younger here, I used it more, but it's about people, and there's so many other things that I had to learn after. Like to your point about business, I didn't know anything about business when I got here. Nothing. I remember my mom asked me, "Well, what did you do at NC State?" I said, "Well, I learned how to make things in engineering. we didn't talk about business, So that's been an interesting journey. So how would you answer that question about something very few people know about you?
Let me just say before I answer that, Pam was also a cheerleader in college. She left that out, but and a lot of
at
people
UNC
don't
Charlotte.
know that she does
College cheerleader.
UNC
Okay,
Charlotte.
that's a little bit of a big deal.
And it is, and we were very proud.
Moms
of her.
always have that info, right?
Oh yes,
yes. That's terrific.
So what was the question now?
What is something that very few people know about you?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty much an open book, so I don't have many secrets.
I kind of gathered that during this conversation.
Yeah, I think you can figure that out. But in thinking, on the business side, there is something that I guess I've never told anyone until now.
Uh-oh. This the big reveal?
This is a big reveal.
No.
My husband and I only know. It happened in the early days of my business. I want to emphasize that, very early days of my business. I was in Acre Shopping Center at that time, and I was in the back room sewing. Bob stopped by, as he often did, and wanted to know if he needed to carry out trash. I said, oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. And of course, I was very grateful. That isn't until the next morning when I came in looking for a bride's dress that had come in the day before. I searched everywhere.
Oh, my Lord.
No box, no dress. The wedding was coming up quickly, and she had an appointment for a fitting that coming Saturday. I called Bob and asked him to come in and help me look. He came by, and fearing the worst, first thing he did was went to our dumpster. It had been emptied. So he proceeded on then to the city dump. He walked through all the boxes trying to find one box that had not been opened. No luck. And he came back and told me I tried not to panic. I went into the back stock room, because I'm sure I said a few prayers. I looked around, I thought, what am I going to do? And so I all of a sudden saw two dresses. That one was the same top as this bride's dress, and one was the same bottom. So I thought, okay, if I put those two together, make just a few changes, I can come up with the same dress for that bride. That's what I did. She came in on Saturday. She tried on her dress. She loved it. And she never knew how truly special that dress was.
Wow.
So I've been through quite a bit.
Well, that's a good, just
a lifetime
a
of
little perseverance, a little ingenuity.
Just have to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure after 180 episodes, that's the first story like that for that question. That's pretty good.
I wanted to emphasize that it was early on in my business, so all these brides now don't think that that's the dress they're getting.
Actually, what we're doing at Poffie Girls is just mixing and matching dresses in the back every day. So another question I'd like to ask, remembering this is a podcast about Gaston County, positive things in and around our community. So Pam, besides Poffie Girls, I mean, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I just think it's being in the community for so long, it's people, you see people coming together, you see people building relationships, business people stick together, neighbors stick together. You see, any time that you're even in a neighborhood, when something happens, it's like everybody's there, everybody comes together. It's just a special place to be and to live and to raise a family. And I think doing what you're doing is really showing the community what a great place it is to live here, work here, invest here.
Yeah, we got a lot of well-kept secrets on some of the things that are happening. Yeah,
and I appreciate you sharing those.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the comment. Syble, how would you answer that question about why is Gaston County such a great place?
I think pretty much because of a lot of what we've already talked about.
Sure.
And to touch on what she said about the podcast, I will say that I went back and looked at some of your past podcasts.
Okay.
And I was just amazed at how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
Living here my whole life.
Yeah, me too. I've learned so much in the last few years.
So I think that what you are doing here is a great service to the community.
Well, thank you.
But I think that Gaston County is just a strong community.
Right.
And people shop local businesses. They think about local businesses. They help their neighbors. They come together. I know anytime that Bob and I are in our backyard enjoying a glass of wine, we always have neighbors just pop over.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's for the wine.
They hear the court come out and say, "Hey, that was like a
know,
call."
Just to enjoy a good time.
That's great.
But
That's good.
I think that's what Gaston County is about, is the friendships that are made here, supporting the businesses, just coming together. in organizations, whether you're on a board or attend a meeting. And I think, too, that we're hurting in that area with young people. I would like to see more young people start taking over.
There are some initiatives happening, that specifically related to that, but it's slow going, to your point. Yeah,
well, and I understand because I didn't do as much when I was young. When you're raising a family and working, and you just don't have that time. But, there's so many of us baby boomers that are not going to be able to keep it up.
Sure, absolutely.
And so I hope, and I think they will step up to the plate.
Yeah, there's some good organizations that are specifically focused on that. JC still does a good job with that, but again, you're absolutely dead on. It's not the same. I'll just leave it at that. So listen, well said, both of you on that. So, got one last question that I really like to put our guest on the spot, and I'll start with you, Pam. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh, goodness.
I know that was just a couple of years ago. So.
Yes, just a few. I would say I've always been a perfectionist. I always felt that I had to do everything, be everything, know everything in order to be successful. And I guess it's really been through taking over the store and going through the past 15 years that I've realized that that's not right.
It might be impossible.
Right, impossible. So in order to be successful, I needed to hire people that knew things that I didn't know, hire people smarter in areas that I'm not as good in.
Sure.
Learn to delegate to the employees to let them rise to the top.
Right.
And develop them as leaders too. It's been amazing to see what you can accomplish and how successful you can be when you let that go.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I should probably rephrase. From what you're trying to accomplish is a better way to put that. It might be impossible when you're trying to let others grow. You're trying to grow a business. You're trying to be involved in the community. That's when I think it could become a problem. If you're trying to stay super small and not impact other people, then you probably could do all that. That perfectionism. Right. But yeah, it's just difficult.
But I've had to let that go, and I wish that I would have known that back then.
Yeah, running a business can be humbling.
Yes, it can be.
Very quickly. I am often have been humbled many times with my experience here. That's great. I appreciate that. Syble, how would you answer that question about 20-year-old, telling your 20-year-old?
20-year-old, can you imagine? So I would tell myself not to think that you have to have everything figured out.
Yeah.
Just hard work, determination, and treating people well will get you farther than you can imagine. Also, I would say to remember that your best is never behind you. It is always ahead of you, so never give up. And I think one little thing is save your small money, take care of it, and it'll take care of yourself.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Someday.
Yeah, I like hearing those things like that are very specific, right? We get these, so many of these answers are great, and I share, and I'm with you on that. I had, when I was 20, I had zero perspective about what was important, and every little thing was into the world, and here it is a few years later, and and that humbling and that perspective really helps with trying to get that past that perspective down to my kids or other people young people that I know, and I'm afraid it just takes that experience and time. I'm not sure you can get it really when you're 20. I couldn't. Right. I wasn't capable. Smart enough to realize what I was doing or not doing. So, ladies, this has been terrific. So, how can people learn more about Poffie Girls? If they want to get in touch with you, where can they go and what can they do?
Our website is poffiegirls.com.
Okay.
We are on Instagram and Facebook as well. And come into the store to see us. We're at 512 South New Hope Road.
What's the closest landmark if somebody's not sure exactly where that is? What other landmark that might be recognizable? What's across the New Hope exactly from there?
There's Facet Foundry.
Okay, is on that
and
side.
there's
You're right
Julie's.
behind Facet Foundry,
We're right
right?
behind Facet Foundry. Across the street are the banks.
South State Bank,
South State
or
Bank
yeah, okay.
would
They
be
just
right
give
across
somebody-
the street as well.
So it's going to be, if you're going toward I-85, it's going to be right before the Community Foundation, right?
Right after.
Right
Right
after.
after.
Well, if you're coming from 85.
From 85.
From
From
85.
85,
From
it's going to be just
85.
after, right?
It's right after.
Just
Okay.
after on your left. You can't see us from the road.
Right.
So,
That's the reason I wanted maybe a landmark, because
right.
so many people drive by there all the time, but they might not, because of you're behind Facet Foundry there, they might not realize exactly where it is.
But we do have a beautiful store,
Oh,
a
yeah.
2-story White House,
Yeah.
and that we've tried to keep the integrity of the building. So when people walk in, they're amazed.
So, any last words before we close this episode out? I have a couple things I want to share. I'll try to share a book recommendation or a quote or something. I'm going to do both today. But any last words before we close this episode out? You guys have been terrific. I think you've listened.
Yes.
You've been great. But I always like to ask that last question, because my experience is sometimes I've learned that as soon as we cut the mics off, I will come up, man, I should have asked this question. So that's the
Right.
reason that I asked that last question. So for me personally, I appreciate the service you guys provide to Gaston County. That name is a staple here in our community, and I know you have served a lot of people that I know personally, and really getting ready to make a big impact on my family directly here in a few months. So I appreciate that. And I'd like to share a book and or a quote, and I try to be intentional about those quotes, but maybe depending on our guests or the book recommendations. So I just finished this book recently. I'm not sure that wasn't planned, but Mark Batterson he's a minister. I can't remember exactly where, but he wrote a book called A Million Little Miracles. And the point of the book is simply slow down, take a look around. There's plenty of miracles around us if we just pay attention. And some of the stuff that you guys have shared, I would put in that category. Some of the women you have impacted, some of those moments that really in their life might be a little miracle, and it's just stuff that you guys do on a day-to-day basis. So I appreciate that. And my quote, this is an old quote that used to be attributed to Aristotle all the time, but it actually wasn't by Aristotle. It was by a gentleman named Will Durant. And he said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." So I was looking for a quote related to you guys and the work you do, and excellence was just a word that came to mind. I think that's what you guys have done for a very long time, and you continue to do that. And so we must have excellent businesses and excellent people, here in our community to keep us, I guess heading in the right direction, because I think Gaston County is heading in the right direction, and you guys are a big part of that. So I appreciate that. So to our guests out there, to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking time to listen to today's episode. Please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast, and don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all the social media platforms. Thanks again to Syble and Pam for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Rachel Cowart and Amber Hauser of GSM Services. That's the first time you officially got recognized today on the podcast. That's awesome. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.